little circle. I used to be the one steadying his little head and telling him to stand still, sit still. But now, he gets to cut my hair. Now the old man gets a chance to sit on down and, well, hope. No. He's a wonderful kid, and let me tell you a little bit about him. When my son was a baby, we were given news. I was given news that no father ever wanted to hear. I remember going to work and my son, well, he had this disease called Kawasaki's disease. It's a rare condition that inflamed his little body and tested his heart. I remember sitting by the hospital bed, praying harder than I prayed in all my life, hoping, believing, and refusing to let fear have the last word. He was always a fighter. Back then, even then he was teaching us about strength. As he got older, that fighting spirit never faded. It showed up on the baseball field. It showed up on the football field. It showed up in the classroom. And in every choice that he made. You know, he did well in school. Found his way, I remember. Just seemed overnight that his room was messy, and all of a sudden he was, well, cleaning his room and organizing things, and I think just getting ready for life. And something special happened. While he was there at school, he met a young woman who believed in him just as much as we did. They married, and some folks said they're too young. But what I saw was commitment, maturity beyond age for both of them, loyalty and love that already has stood the test of time for most marriages. Well, my young man, not only is he a good barber, but he raised his hand and he took an oath that most people only read about in books. He put on that uniform. Can I brag on him a little bit? Can I brag on my boy a little bit? He put on that uniform, the United States Air Force, and he served this country with courage and dignity, just like I knew he would. We've got two. I'm really proud of him, proud of my older daughter, and she led the way. She led the way. She went ahead. Do you hear that thunder in the background? She led the way, and this made me proud just as well. Serving our country with courage and dignity. Every time I see them put on their uniforms, every time I see pictures of them in their uniforms, I feel gratitude and pride. Pride. A father's pride. Well, back to my son here cutting the hair. I'm gonna have to give you a little rundown of my daughter real soon, because she too is special, serving our country, and I want to brag on her a little bit too in the future. my son here, I don't know if you know, but life has thrown him some challenges. And early on, like I said, he got tested with that Kawasaki's disease, a very rare disease. I remember going to the doctors, and the doctor I originally went to, it was actually an emergency room. I'll tell you exactly where it was. Wilmington Hospital. And I took my young man there. I was a single father at the time. Took him to the hospital there, and they looked over and looked at him, and they determined that they thought that he had an allergic reaction to something in the household. However, I thought it strange because his lips were turning purple. His temperature was over 105 degrees. He was miserable, dehydrated, and did not look well. The doctor sent me home and told me to give him Benadryl and an oatmeal bath. Well, I went home, did what they said, but that next morning, marched right back to his primary care doctor and insisted that they look him over. And look him over they did. Soon after, I remember the doctor calling me to him, and he said, "I need you to go home. Make yourself a bag. And after, I want you to meet me at A.I. DuPont Children's Hospital, because your son has a rare disease called Kawasaki's." And so he sent me home to get a bag. Told my employer, and off I went to stay at the A.I. DuPont Children's Hospital for a week with this young man. And it was, I think during that week I probably lost some weight just from the stress of seeing my young boy in that condition. But like I said earlier, resilient. He is resilient. He was resilient. He will be. Chip off the old block. I want to give a shout out to A.I. DuPont Children's Hospital. They have not only served our family, our immediate family, but our broader family as well. Right now we're in the middle of a thunderstorm. The thunderstorm is, well, thundering. Like I said, I want to give a shout out to the A.I. DuPont Children's Hospital. They are a top-notch organization. Their staff is top-notch. Their facility, top of the line. I am grateful for those that work there because they, in a sense, saved my son's life. Had I gone with the previous recommendation from the doctors at Wilmington Hospital, well, there could have been so much more damage done to my son. Life tested him early on, but life wasn't done testing him. I didn't really speak much about this, but not long ago another illness came knocking at his door. tried to break down his immune system, wear out his body, and steal his spirit. Months of uncertainty, testings, try this, try that, hope for this, hope for that. Months again of seeing him fight a battle that no one else could see. But he didn't throw his hands up. He didn't stop. He didn't stop believing. That fighter, that same fighter he was even as a baby, showed up again in that hospital room. Showed up when the doctors were uncertain and, well, a little bit still even are today. But see, there's experiences like these that try men's souls. There are things that will make us, can make us or break us. And we have to respond. We have to figure out how we are going to respond to the battles and to the things that life throws at us, because life is going to throw things at us, even the best of us. And we can't just cry out, it's not fair, I'm a good person, or this or that. Why me? Why not you? I just say this. It's not about the fight and the dog, and this gives me the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. How big is your fight? Life is going to throw some challenges our way. I can tell you so many. Give you so many. I'll tell you one about this young man right here, even gaining custody of him becoming a single father, which was so challenging in a sense. I fought for custody. His mother and I met when I was in the Navy. And in the Navy, I had a relationship. But you ever been in a relationship and you knew that, this relationship isn't really the relationship I'm supposed to be in, but it's the one I'm in now. And to complicate matters, she got pregnant. And now, what was supposed to be temporary became permanent. I want you to know that I've never wanted to be away from my children. I never wanted to be away from my son. And so I stayed in a toxic relationship in order to stay near my son. But yet the toxicity grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And I'm not going to say it's all one person's fault, because it always takes two to tango. But we were not right for one another. We were not meant for one another. And yet I stayed as long as I could for him. Well, after a bunch of situations, some with the law, I had to go. Enough was enough. And, well, they left. My son and his mother. They were living in Virginia at the time, and it was one of the hardest moments in my life. Wow, I don't know if you heard that thunder, but that thunderclap hit right on cue. Oh, I hope this catches it. Anyway. While my son and his mother were down there, I had already, every time we would get together, break up, in the times of breakup, she would move out of state, and then I'd bring them back, and then she'd go again. Then there was this last time, the last time. I had forgotten that on one of the other occasions that we had broken up, got back together, that in one of those times of the breakup, I went to the courthouse and filed paperwork for custody. I had even forgotten. However, the court didn't forget. And even though we had broken up and gotten back together again, and broken up and gotten back together again, and then broken up for the last time, the court still had a date scheduled. I remember my first Father's Day when my son was not around. The loneliness I felt. I went into a church and I sat down and I just stared at the pulpit. They were talking about fathers, and I remember just hurting so much on the inside. I left the service early. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I walked home and just a heaviness in my heart. But not a few weeks later, I remember getting that notice in the mail, and man, that frown turned upside down as I looked and I saw that, wow,
No problem.
I have a court date for custody. Like I said, I had totally forgotten about it. Forget about it. I forgot about it, and I'm so glad they didn't. And so, I started getting prepared. You see how he is. He's got his tools as he's cutting my hair. He's very intentional on every cut and everything that he's doing. He's precise, measured. Well, once I knew what the target was, I got to work. Made sure I overcame every objection possible. I was already working. I moved into my own place with enough room for him. I secured daycare services. We got things in order so that when I stood before the judge, he saw that there was order. And I remember the court date. I went to that court date. I was ready. I had a suit jacket on and a shirt and tie, and I was looking good. I was feeling good. Everything going was good. It was if I just knew I was walking in faith on that day. And well, I went up in there. She came up from Virginia. Her and my son. And we were in the courtroom. I hadn't seen him for some time, since he'd gone. But I was optimistic, and I was hopeful, and I was confident. And then all of a sudden, we start, and the judge starts asking some questions, and he starts looking at some papers, and I think I told you earlier that the law had got involved. It was a little bogus thing, but a bogus thing against a man sometimes. Well, I'll tell you what it is so you can make your own judgment. I was kicking her out. The department had my name on it. I was trying to do what I see other the ladies do, get out, it's my house, whatever, and so I thought I could just kick her out. My son's here, neither of us had custody, nothing legally, so we both had equal custody, is what I thought. It's supposed to be that way, but it ain't always like that, y'all. But anyway, we go ahead. I tell her, hey, this is my place. Get out. She's at the door, trying to get in. I told her she couldn't come in because she's getting kicked out. I think I had a bag that I was trying to give to her so she can take her stuff and just go. I think she was, she's coming back from work or coming back from somewhere. And so we're at the door, and she tries to put her arm into the door. And I'm telling her, no, just take your stuff and go. And I push her arm out of the door as she's trying to push her way in the door. Alright, so if you're pushing your way in the door, I'm pushing your way out of the door. Why am I the only one? Now that's an assault on my part, is what they told me. Hey, I don't know. But anyway, they, because of that, some women's advocate group saw the charge. It was a assault charge, and then they saw it's a woman, and then they saw it was a man as the other, and it was a domestic, and then they said, oh, we can help you put these papers, and she took full advantage of their help to sign up against me as if I was some tyrant. And all of a sudden, I had to go through some classes, and here's where it comes back to this trial. I had to take anger management classes. I had to, and I hadn't finished those classes while we were in court. So I had everything prepared, but the anger management classes, I still was in the process of taking them. It was like 8 weeks, 10 weeks or something like that. And I'll tell you what, truthfully, they were good classes. I don't think I should have been there, but I did learn a lot from those classes, that even things I implemented after the fact. So it was really good anyway. So I can at least say that there was a blessing even in the curse. Anyway, we were in the court. The judge, he says, I see you haven't finished these classes. He says, I see you haven't finished these classes. I said, no, sir. I'm still in the process of taking them. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, that came from another judge, another court, blah, 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 blah. If I'm not going to be able to hear your case today until That was probably another, I don't know, another few weeks, another month. And not only that, I was surprised she even made it up for this one. So and like I said, I was walking in confidence. I was walking in great confidence. Like, yo, I already know what's getting ready to happen here. So, everything in my world stopped for a moment. As he said, I am not going to be able to hear your case unless, and where's the beautiful part. He said, unless you can convince me that I have to hear this case. I said, what do you mean? He said, unless you can convince me that there is some extraordinary reason, some emergency reason why I need to hear this case today. And the world stopped for a moment. Pressure was on. But luckily, I'm quick on my feet. And all of a sudden, I said, he does not have all of his immunizations for a child. The judge said, ma'am, is that correct? Because they had been moving from one friend's house to another and having a little nomadic life in other people's homes. So when he said, ma'am, is that right? She said, yes. She's still trying to get things together. She's been moving from state to state, from place to place. And when he heard that, he said, sir, I will hear your case. And I knew it's on like Donkey Kong. Let's go. And I showed him and told him everything. What happened in our relationship and what I prepared for him and what I have prepared and what she doesn't have prepared. And well, by the grace of God, he believed. He believed. And I know he made the right choice because look at this young man right here. That's my boy. That's my man. And I'm proud to be called his dad. Yeah. Thank God. Thank you, Lord. Be blessed, everybody. And yeah, he's a little vain. Keep fighting. Don't give up. It's always hard until